horsepower doesn't make a winner.
Welcome to the Motorsports and Driver Development Show. My name is Katie.
I'm Keto.
And we are joined today with DirtFish lead instructor Nate Tennis. Nate, how you doing?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing awesome.
Good.
How are you guys doing?
We are so good.
Great.
Really stoked to be talking to you today, obviously. But before we get into anything, I want people to have a little bit of background and know that, Nate, you have been our #1 fan, biggest supporter, biggest champion, I think, since we started.
Yep.
Well, you started. I wasn't even helping you out at first.
Yep.
And so people who don't know, most people do know you, but people who don't know you should know that the fact that they have rally in their backyard is largely due to you. So thank you. I want to know, did you come out of the womb with like a helmet on, race gloves?
Close to it. I was very lucky. I have some family members who were into rally, and they actually met through rally. So it was just sort of natural. Like my uncle that I idolized growing up rallied. His wife, they met through rallying. She's a co-driver. And so I just kind of have been around it since I was a very little guy. In fact, a really fun thing, I just saw a photo from the 1987 Olympus Rally when it was a WRC event. And there in the background was me and my dad standing on a bridge at Golden Gardens watching one of the launches go up the hill. And I was like, there I am. I spotted my shorts. I was 9 years old.
Awesome.
That is so cool.
So is that your first memory of rally?
No, actually, my first memory of rally cars was my Uncle Sean had a rally car that backfired a lot. And it was Uncle Sean's fan car. And it was an old Saab 96 that he was tuning, and it wasn't tuned yet. and so it backfired, and that was a distinct memory of trying to be around it. And I was probably, I don't know, 4.
And from that, you were like, I have to do this.
Well, I wouldn't say that. It just sort of like, I always gravitated when I was a kid, like playing with toy cars. I always wanted the real looking car. You know, I didn't really like the open wheel or formula cars. They were cool and whatever, but I always liked cars that looked like real cars. And then I wanted to go slide them around and play in the dirt with them the whole time. So I guess it's just destiny. It was in my blood. I always wanted to play with it that way. Yeah.
So how did you make the transition from a little kid sitting on a bridge at Golden Gardens to lead instructor at DirtFish?
That goes back to the beginning of DirtFish in general, where I had a friend who heard in the local paper that there was a racetrack that was getting started up in near the town that I grew up in, which was Carnation. And it was going to be this thing that involved rally cars or some kind of Subaru racing. So I heard about it, and I heard about who was involved with it originally. And I happened to be available at the time, and actually had about 12 or 13 years of experience stage rallying on my own, moderately in the Northwest region. And just I got in contact with the main person that I knew, and had sort of like a semi-interview and got like a last-minute spot in the big instructor hire that they were doing. And at that time was one of 4 instructors, not including the lead instructor that was brought in for the original core group of instructors for DirtFish.
Mm.
That's so cool. Was there a test?
Definitely wasn't written. Yeah, I mean, I was available. I didn't have a whole lot going on. The industry that I was involved in before that was automotive events and like press launches, that sort of a thing. So this was 2009, 2010. So a lot of that had dried up at that point in time. So needless to say, I was available. I was a rally nut, and just tried to make myself available and willing to do absolutely whatever to be a part of it.
So the previous job you mentioned, that was with like manufacturers like OEMs, like Honda, Subaru,
So we were like a go-between for the manufacturers, sort of like a liaison between local journalists and then also the manufacturers themselves. So we had like local knowledge. So for a while I was the manager of the Northwest region for our office that was up here. And then I transitioned over to the event side of things, which was like new model launches and that sort of thing. So when a major OEM launches a new car to the world, they gather all the journalists from around either the country or the region or even the world, and they'll let them test it, drive it. So what I used to do is help produce the programs and come up with drive routes, come up with activities that would, highlight the vehicle. And so that was where I spent the latter part of my career in that industry.
Interesting. So that was a pretty big transition from that into sliding a car around in the dirt and yelling at students.
Never. Well, so interestingly enough, so I had rallied on my own since I was 18, and spent 9 years in that industry there. So I had quite a bit of racing. Like I said, I think 12 or 13 years by the time I heard about DirtFish. And so I had knowledge of rally and experience with that. And then with that previous industry, we used to do like track driving events and off-road events and that sort of thing. So I got some experience with an in-car instruction at the same time. So I had rally experience, I had in-car instruction, and PR, which that kind of helps. When everything's wonderful and you can make everything fantastic, then that tends to grease some wheels as well.
Have you done other kinds of racing besides rally?
Yeah, I haven't actually done any door-to-door racing, which is kind of interesting. I have quite a bit of track time, although not necessarily in track-specific cars, because a lot of the programs that we did were testing the car on track.
Yeah.
One of our Mitsubishi was one of our clients, and so I did every launch of every Evo that was ever produced, including some special models and some other cool stuff in there. So I'd have done some off-road racing too. That's another extreme passion that is the most brutal physically, I think, of any sort of motorsport. So I've done the Baja 1000 3 times, twice in a air-cooled Volkswagen in Class 11, which was sort of like banging your head against a wall for 12 hours while someone throws dust in your face. And then I also have done some co-driving in a trophy truck, and then I drove a spec trophy truck last year at an event as well. So that's a totally different and extremely exciting type of motorsport that's really, really challenging. It's a really fun direction as opposed to like going to track stuff. I kind of get bored seeing the same thing over again.
What's the most challenging part of it is that you just don't know what you're going to come up on, or?
It's like there's a third dimension to it. I used to like rally. Okay, it gets bumpy and stuff like that, but our bumps are just a couple of inches, and if not, we're really slowing down for it. But off-road, there's so much of a third dimension in terms of jumps and how to jump, how to prepare for a jump, how to prepare for whoop sections, and how to deal with like the spec trophy truck I drove had 3 feet of suspension travel. So if you don't take a corner right, it'll just fall over. So it's reading terrain in an entirely different way. And the way that I read terrain in a rally situation is very different from how you read it in an off-road situation.
Right. Probably a lot of weight transfer then. 3 feet of suspension travel end up underneath the tail.
Yeah. when it crosses up under braking, you need to get back on throttle and squat the rear end down. Otherwise, you're going to spin and possibly get the thing over to want to fall on its side. So, and you want to use ruts. So you kind of set the thing into ruts as a way of almost like railroad. You kind of set it on the rails and then ride the rut through to some degree. So yeah, it's insane.
What do you think is like, how sore is your back when you finished?
Well, not too sore.
Really?
Not too sore. The biggest thing I was worried about in the whole thing was having to wear an external catheter.
Yeah. The glamour. I feel like you're really selling this this sport here. Dirt
I know.
in your face, external catheter.
Right.
Where do I sign up?
Yeah. I know. It's nuts. I've been so lucky, and I can't thank the people who have involved me in their crews. It's amazing, and I am absolutely in love with Mexico and Baja and all that whole area.
Yes.
The whole terrain is just amazing. The people are amazing. It's just I don't know. It's magic.
I've looked at real estate down there, so maybe we'll get a big enough house you can come join us.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
No Volkswagens.
So with all this under your belt, working with OEMs, doing the trophy truck, all that sort of stuff. So what's your favorite platform? Is it front wheel drive, rear wheel, all wheel drive? What do you prefer?
Motorcycle?
I'm a rally guy through and through. So like off-road is amazing and I'll race anything like at any point in time. But for me, I still like my roots, which was front wheel drive rally. I like what you can do with less in terms of front wheel drive. I like the extreme attack that is required to drive front wheel drive fast. I can't wait to someday finish my car so that I can actually do it again. They don't have front wheel drive at DirtFish.
So then what's your favorite rally car of all time? Like, did you grow up with like an iconic car, like, what you're talking about, like the Lancia or one of the Quattros, or do you like some of the modern stuff?
It's like, I don't have kids, but it's sort of like, who's your favorite child? I mean, not that any of them are mine, but like, I love a Mark II Escort. I love Group E cars, like all of them, even the Citroen. I've been following a lot of Group A stuff because that was sort of, the era I grew up in that we didn't get a lot of television coverage of. So now I'm going back and burning through hours of YouTube at the moment, just catching up on all this stuff. So I don't know. I'd say it's probably easier to say my least favorite, which is more modern era WRC stuff. I know that's going to cause a lot of complaints, but the further away from a production-based car, the less interested I am in it. I think it goes away from what rally truly is, which is a production-based vehicle on a real road. And the further it gets away from that, the less interested I guess I am in it. Yeah, it's amazing and it's fast, but it should be. I think the second you have restrictions, that's when ingenuity and good driving comes in.
Right. So that being said, what do you think it will take to get WRC back to our side of the border?
The pond?
Well, they're in Mexico.
Oh, sure. Okay.
So
sorry.
What's it going to take to draw them to come over on this side?
I think a good package, honestly. From the little experience I have with it, the organizers are really invested in producing a really nice event, because as much as racing is racing, it's also a show and it's entertainment. So I think if you're to put together a good location with a unique situation, so like say we show something that's like in the Northwest here, we have roads that are very similar to Great Britain, which is cool. But we also have stuff that's similar to Mexico on the other side of that. And if we can have that as one event in just this state in North America, I think that would be pretty cool. And then being able to find, world-class accommodations, good roads, good short transits, all of that stuff, which is a very big challenge. So, I mean, if someone were inclined to build it, they would come, I think, because they really want to be in the U.S. From what I understand. So, do
you think that somebody will do it? I mean, do you think there's enough draw for somebody to do it? Do you think there's the dollars and cents that make sense to do it? I mean, it seems like rally's getting pretty big and pretty popular now in the U.S. And at some point, there's got to be that breakover. And I guess my question is like, do you think we're there? When do you think we get there if we're not there now?
He's like the rally economist.
That's right.
Yeah. I love it.
We're going to check back and grade you on it.
I think, I think there are a lot of really cool opportunities to put on an event. I don't think any one standalone event, not to knock anything that anyone's doing, because everyone does a wonderful job producing the events that we have in the U.S. But I think a world-class level event doesn't necessarily exist yet. And I almost think that rather than fight territorially, we would, I think it would be better to sort of come together collectively as a U.S. rally conglomerate and put together a U.S. rally event, wherever that would be. I know Eastern Canada is tapped for a potential second North American event, and that one is supposed to be in the snow, I believe. So,
that'd be super fun.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I feel like you worked in PR, people. Can we get that Golden Garden stage back?
Right. That was.
Yeah, I don't know.
People watching, Golden Gardens is a beach here in Seattle where the road leading to it is, describe it.
Yeah, it's just a really windy road that goes up a steep hill, and it's just a series of switchbacks. And the road itself degraded a little bit since they used to run that Group B stuff there, but they used to run a course that I believe went down along the shore through the parking lots and then up the hill on windy, and they transited like right down 50th and transited through on I-5. Part of it, and they did that.
So could you get to work on that?
Yeah, no problem. It's super easy to close down streets in Seattle for motorsports.
It is right now.
No problem. That would be it.
You did mention the road quality, and that road is
it's pretty bad.
So
I don't need to be perfect for rallies.
I don't know. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. So half of the show is about motorsports. The other half is about driver development. And who better to talk to about developing drivers than you? So I want to know, like, if I'm a new driver, I'm just getting started in rally, what is like the number one piece of advice that you have seen help new drivers?
Number one, I mean, I would say practice. That is a really large word, or a word that it brings in a lot of different meanings in there. So there are lots of different ways of practice. There's anything from mental imagery to physical fitness to online to anything. But first and foremost, before practicing, is understanding good concepts. Our brains are just like computers. So if you put in a poor running system, then you're going to get poor results, garbage in, garbage out. So practicing good habits and understanding good concepts before trying to reinforce all of those things is a good thing. That's really all that we do here, is just put collectively together all of our information and experience and just help reinforce the good stuff and weed out all the bad. So it just really kind of, I guess, condenses the amount of time it takes. Most folks will eventually reach that same destination. Some of them will reach it in 6 months. Some will reach it in 6 years, or maybe some won't at all. But but that's, I mean, it's just like a coach in any sort of sport. And I'll go to the grave saying that motorsports is an actual physical sport. But it's like any sport. If you are just sitting there dribbling a basketball on the court by yourself, you're only going to be so good. If you have other people around there that are helping and coaching and showing you, then you're going to get progressively better and better and better. And the better influences you have on the outside, the better results you'll have, and in a quicker amount of time as well.
So at what point, seat time is a big deal. Get as much seat time, get some practice in there, but what would be a good point where taking a class at DirtFish would make the most sense? You know, where they could get the most out of it, the most bang for the buck. Because, you know, clearly if they don't have any idea what they're doing, they might want to like learn how to drive stick shift or something first, you know? What would you say?
Well, I mean, most of us are budget conscious, so it's tough to just jump into anything motorsports related, and myself included. I was there weren't any rally schools really that were affordable and attainable in my area, so I just jumped in the car and learned how to do it and listened to whoever would tell me, and it was a long, slow, painful to the car process.
As you were doing that on city streets going the speed limit, right?
No, actually the first time I really drove on gravel was my first gravel rally event.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah. Doo-Wop rally in February of 97 or March of 97. So it's so long ago, I can't even remember. But that was the first time I really tried it and scared the crap out of myself. So I would say early on, you can build a good foundation. So, again, I'm not trying to do any sales push here, but the more you get the baseline in place and set up so that you're building off of a good foundation, the sooner that happens, the better, because then you can make actual progress instead of learning bad habits that have to be fought through so that we can make good progress on the other side there. So, and it doesn't even have to be DirtFish. Of course, we would love it to be, but anyone who's experienced and willing to share information is a gold mine. Racing in general tends to bring a competitive aspect to things. So there are a lot of folks who are guarded in their information as they're threatened in a competitive manner. They may not want to share a lot of that stuff, but if you find somebody who's willing to share good information, most will share at least the basics of
and I think in the rally community, from what I see, people very much are interested in sharing, and I think what they're interested in is having competition. I mean, it's a lot more fun when you're battling to the end. It's a lot less fun when you're either beating everybody just by a mile or getting beat by a mile. You want to mix it up with somebody.
I think fun. Fully agree. There's some wonderful, wonderful people in the sport, and that's what has helped keep me interested in it for a long time. I know that's the same thing for a lot of people, but one of the things about it, I think, is it's very unique. So we're all sort of like looking at each other going like, well, you're an addict too, so you want to play this game. And then also there is that door-to-door aspect of it. So I haven't actually raced on track, so I don't know this, but it's sort of more of an assumption in that we're all, you're racing against that guy, but you're not physically racing against that guy. That guy didn't cut you off, so you're not going to hold a grudge against him. He'd be on a raw time, and it's more you go out to battle and you come back and there's almost more camaraderie of, oh man, did you see that giant rock, and wasn't that amazing, and all that stuff. So I think it's more of that in rally.
Yeah, definitely. Is there like a really great piece of advice somebody's given you over the years?
Never give up. I think that's really it. what I like about rally is sort of that endurance factor, and that's huge in off-road too. And those are the things that I mainly gravitate toward, the type of motorsport that I gravitate toward. A sprint race is very cool because it's a very specific discipline. You really have to be on your game instantly and be inch perfect for a condensed amount of time. But I like the more longer term endurance aspect of things, and that press on regardless is the name of a rally, and it's sort of because that's kind of the rallying cry, pun intended.
Oh, is there the opposite of that? Do you hear people doling out a piece of advice or kind of saying the same thing over and over that you want to debunk?
Horsepower doesn't make a winner.
You want to debunk that? You think horsepower makes a winner?
No, I'm sorry. Opposite side of that.
Oh, good. Okay, I was like,
yeah, opposite side of that. No, okay. You don't need a lot of power to do well in motorsports. In fact, less can be a blessing. And what may feel like a slow car on the street is not a slow car in the woods by any means. And you're better off. You can learn a lot by driving a slow car. And for one thing, you're not at risk so much, and you have the time to absorb, I guess, what's going on a lot more. And then when the inevitable happens, you're not nearly as far off the road as you would have been with a fast car.
You're not as far.
Yeah, right.
Have you ever been in a car with either a new or not so new driver where you've just had to be like, Jesus, take the wheel?
Well, some deities were channeled, that's for sure, but I don't know if I was asking them to take the wheel because I was too busy going for the wheel myself. Yeah, there are some. It's pretty rare. Most of our folks are not coming through for like entering into competition, so to speak. And the ones that are really, really not that great are well aware of it and aren't on their way towards trying to be in motorsports.
Yeah.
So I guess, we all have our stories. We all get our 1,000-yard stare and remember, I remember Bob.
So one day there's going to be like a tell-all book.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
We should make it into a movie. It could be an action movie.
An action movie?
We wanted to do a reality show here, but then we realized it'd probably be bad for business if we're bad.
So let me ask you a question. Before you race, what do you do to get your mind right, to get yourself right? Are you just one of those people who runs around, hops in a car, like, which way do I go and go? Or do you need a moment? No, I definitely need a moment. I get in my head way too much. So I try, if I get myself in my head, I'll just get all wiggy and mess myself up. I try to stay in reasonable shape, at least core stuff. That tends to, then you don't have to worry about that. And again, with the endurance, that's a big aspect of it. There's some great mental games you can play, and one of them, who was involved with DirtFish actually very early, Ross Bentley, put together a book called Inner Speed Secrets that I really liked before DirtFish even came about. And I read them, and I noticed a difference in performance for me, and then it probably greased the wheels again to be getting a job. But it's really cool. It's the same sort of single sport preparation that someone would do for like tennis or golf or whatever, but it's just mental preparation and eye exercises and I guess getting yourself not necessarily to prepare better, but at least just to prepare at your optimum. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I have my little ritual that I do. In fact, I do some of it. There's something called cross crawls, where you bring your right hand up to your left knee and then down and then alternate back and forth.
and it opens up both hemispheres of your brain. So your right and left hemispheres of your brain, it sort of connects them. So I do that even before having a big meeting or having a presentation or something like that. So yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are you like, once you're in the car, helmet on, like at the start line, are you just like, oh yeah, this is it? Or are you still just like, even while you're racing, like, oh, what the hell's happening?
No, lots of nerves. And it depends on the event too. Lots of nerves. It depends on the event too.
Does nerves go away when you start? As soon as you start?
It sort of depends. Like if it's a rally with my own car, then I'm worrying about the car. I'm worrying about this. I'm worrying about that. If it's someone else's car, it's like, how much experience do I have with it, and what's this and what's that? And usually, like once you hit the start and get some, depending on how long it is, but get a little miles under your belt, then it's like, okay, oh yeah, this is why I do this. Oh yeah, there's another dose of the drug. Yeah.
I love to talk about physical fitness because I don't feel like we talk about that much in rally specifically. And it's something that I think like we all could benefit from, even just a little bit of additional work. And, you get out of the car and you're like tired and your arms kind of feel it. And it's like, oh yeah, those are muscles you should be training and prepping for racing.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever, like ultra marathoner, like.
Just saying, if you want to be a great driver, you have to work those muscles out too. If you want to be a runner, we can talk. If you want to talk about drugs and people trying to get you hooked on their drugs, we can talk about it. I'm happy to do a whole other episode on that.
Nice. No, I'm gifted with not a great back, so I have to keep my core and back in shape. Otherwise, bouncing in a seat is painful. So do that, and then I do notice some, I guess, ability to endurance. I guess able to stay at a higher level of attention for a longer period of time, and then just not getting tired, not affected by heat, that sort of thing. So. Yeah, it can take a lot out of you, especially the more endurance stuff that I've done involve desert racing. So there's all of the elements also. So it's really hot, which for a little soft Northwesterner, that can get a little, that can be taxing itself. And then just the general bouncing around is like doing more to you than you even realize. But rally stuff, I definitely will have be able to stay at a higher attention span and be more situationally aware of everything more if I do some exercising beforehand.
Yeah, you can't really zone out.
Right. And that's when you look at it, that's sort of, it's not acceptable to be an overweight race car driver anymore. It's not even a thing.
Yeah.
The old adage of I remember when drivers were fat and tires were skinny. It's like that's not the case anymore.
F1 drivers used to be in the pits with a cigarette. Exactly. That's why I loved Timo Salonen, man. He used to smoke on the long stages.
Oh my God.
In a Group B car.
How do you have more hands for that?
You don't. Just hang it off the lip.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know. So the open face helmet's for, so you can hang your cig up. Yeah.
With a little hole and.
Yeah.
These are pro tips you can expect when you come to
Right. Exactly.
Have fire suits.
Yeah.
Cigarettes.
God.
Maybe it was on the Transit that he was smoking on, but it sounds better.
That's definitely better.
Yeah.
So, last question. If I'm somebody who has never been to a rally, or maybe I've been to one, but I don't really know how to get started, do I like buy a car, build a car? What do I do? Like, what would you recommend is the best first step?
It depends which venue you're going down. Like if you want to get into stage rally, then go to a stage rally. Find out how to get involved. Look up either ARA or you guys are wonderful for providing information for that. And just go to one and get involved in the scene. Buying I would avoid buying a car to prep because that can be a very long, drawn out process that can often bring a lot of frustration because it's never done. So if someone is really interested, I always recommend buying a car that's already prepped, because someone has already put the bill for a large majority of the work there. Keto knows what I'm talking about. Somebody hasn't finished his car for a really long time. And I'm not getting out of it at any point in time. But yeah, just get involved. You'll find, ask questions, talk to people who are into it. You'll find a lot of folks are very welcoming, and they're always looking for help with volunteers for events. That's huge, and you get firsthand experience with it that way. Looking for help, just throwing a wrench or even driving the service rig to a service area, and you get firsthand experience that way too. So volunteers are always needed on events. Service crews always needed. Co-drivers get sick and you need somebody to ride shotgun with you. But there are, just get in there and find out.
Just get out there.
Press on regardless, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Nate, this has been really awesome. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us, talk to everybody else. If people want to like internet stalk you, where can they find you on the Instagram?
Yeah, I'm kind of an Instagram guy. So yeah, I don't even know what my Instagram handle is. I think it's just Nate_tennis. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Okay. Or Nate@dirtfish.com, because I'm also living here for the most part. Yeah.
Now you're gonna get love letters from all the girls. Oh my God,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
well, thank you.
Wacky Ann.
Thank you as always.
Yes, and for everything.
Yes.
Heck yeah, guys! This is exciting. You guys have done such an amazing job of like pushing Rally forward. That I'm excited to see all the things that you guys keep coming up with. It's amazing.